there is pricing power, and that shows you the well of demand, I'm guessing.
I think it's a reflection of the market. First of all, there is obviously a strong demand. China is a growing market. It's a large and affluent middle class. So clearly, that's a positive growth pattern that we're seeing for travel within domestic China. But it's also a sign of the government easing, and being more market-based. And that's a reflection of its own confidence also in the carriers being able to manage. But having said that, there are also guidelines. I think they've also said that they are going to allow planned increments to maybe about 10%. So that would...
Wait, how does it affect you? Because you do have a code share with China-Eastern here as well.
Yes. Well...
and other Sky team.
It's good news for us because we have a stake in China-Eastern. 2 years ago, we invested $450 million in a 3.55% stake. So what's good for China-Eastern is also obviously good for Delta Airlines. But it's primarily a domestic play. It's more for the domestic carriers to compete amongst themselves, and to be able to capture the markets that are growing.
What is your partnership like with China-Eastern these days? How do you divvy up the routes? Who does what, internationally speaking, because that's where your focus is?
Sure. Perhaps I may want to put this clear. Right now, we have this partnership with China-Eastern. But in order to be able to talk about divvying up routes, you need a joint venture, and we don't have that yet.
You have a code share?
Yes, that's correct. So to that extent, the code share has been really flourishing over the past 2 years. We have got a lot of cooperation with China-Eastern, primarily from Shanghai, but also from Beijing. And we actually partnered them to get access into many of the interior cities. Up to over 40 cities over the past 2 years have been developed. And that
through the code share, of course.
Exactly. And that provides a lot of connections to be able to penetrate and access the interior markets of China, which is really, really growing.
That brings me on to the next thing. We've got United. I think British Airways have been pulling away from some of these secondary cities, I think like Chengdu. How is that in your strategy? Because are you using the code share way of actually developing those cities? Are you going to be flying not to those second and third tier cities in the future? What's the deal?
I think that's correct. I think our primary focus is on the two key hubs in Shanghai and Beijing. By the very fact that we have a very strong partner and that strong partnership is growing with China-Eastern, we're already able to access without having to fly. And that's a very key part of Delta's strategy globally. We place a lot of emphasis on strong partnerships because no one single carrier, even though we have global ambitions, is able to cover every corner of the earth. So these partnerships in Asia are doing very well for us. And with that, we're able to access the secondary cities in China without having to fly them directly.
What's Delta's expansion plan after the new Beijing airport gets underway?
That's an interesting question. In 2019, Beijing Airport will come on stream. I think that's October 2019, if I'm not wrong. And China-Eastern has very strong ambition plans to build a very strong hub, a second hub, if you like, at Beijing. And what we have been doing actually is, together with our network departments on both sides, we've been working very closely in order how to develop and make that second hub in Beijing a very strong one, a strong international hub. And that's the ambition of the Chinese government. And Delta has got tremendous experience because we have got many years of building hubs in the United States. And we are able to share that experience with China-Eastern to be able to build that for successful developments in Beijing in the near future.
What would you say is the crux of your expansion or your market share plan? Because obviously you're sort of chasing for more market share from United and Air China, and there's also China Southern and an American Air teaming up as well. So do you anticipate the competition is going to get fiercer, and what's your strategy in staying ahead?
I think the market is still very, very strong in terms of its growth patterns. We firmly believe in our product investments. In fact, in that aspect, that's how we choose to differentiate and looking after our customers. Actually, I'm very excited about this year because in 2018, we will see our new A350 aircraft coming into China, operating to both Beijing as well as Shanghai. So that will give a lot of corporate travelers plenty to enjoy. And it's a fantastic product because it's a new Delta One suite that we have designed with private space and sliding door cabins, complete privacy, which is what corporate travelers really want. There's also a new Delta Premium Select, which we have introduced. That's also going to be coming on the new A350 aircraft. And all these are investments on the aircraft in terms of our product to be able to stay ahead.